seat.
Hello, everybody that's just joining.
There's Rachel.
Oh,
There
cool,
she
cool.
is. Hello, Rachel. I think you're
You're
muted.
muted. Hello.
Hey, Rachel.
Hey everybody.
How are you?
Oh, I'm great. How are you, Anthony?
Doing good, as good as can be with this crazy times. Santa Cruz has been a mess these last 2 weeks with the fires and COVID,
Oh,
and yeah,
yeah.
so it's been tough. A lot of
Bad
friends
time.
lost their homes up in the mountains,
Yeah.
but we're all hanging in there.
Yep. Yeah.
Are you
Um,
coming in from the city, or are you zooming in from the city, or
I'm
where are
in
you at?
Oakland.
Awesome, cool.
Yeah.
The smoke
Oh,
was bad up there, huh? The last couple of days.
it
Yeah,
was
I
it
mean
was
we had
scary.
that Wednesday where the sun didn't rise.
The orange. It's
It's
terrifying.
Are
crazy.
are most people in this room kind of in the Bay Area right now?
I think so. If you guys want to put in the chat where you're coming from, that'd be awesome. Um, Welcome to everybody who just joined too.
No, we're on Zoom, but we're all pretty close.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, it's
there's
so cool to see so many people here. That's great.
yeah, this is awesome. We're keeping it alive. I was just remembering all the. I went to two conferences 2 years ago. I think it was 2017 and 2018, and they're always so much fun. Bringing everybody together. We always have the jam at the end of the conference, and it was sad to think that it's all virtual this year, but I'm glad that it's still kind of keeping the community alive. So,
Absolutely. It's great. This is officially the first young adult event I think West Coast Songwriters has ever had.
it's so cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
Y'all were
first,
here.
the witnessing of a new era.
Very new era.
If only it was in person.
All
But
right.
hey,
We'll probably wait another few minutes before we get started, just to let everyone log on.
Start at like 110 maybe.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
ooh, Jane.
There's always various complications with Zoom.
Is Jane still on here? Is Olympia Washington burning right now? I don't think she's on here still. Hopefully she's okay.
Oh,
Have you guys
Jane.
been writing a ton over quarantine?
What'd you say, Chloe?
Have you guys been writing a ton over quarantine or taking a break or what's
I've been, yeah, trying to write some new music. It's been all the motivation's always down during I found during these times. But I have been writing a lot of new music. It's always also been listening to a lot of new stuff. Yeah, it's been fun, but it is tough. I found the days go by. It's like what day is it? You lose track of time. But yeah, yeah. What about you guys?
Funny because like I went from like writing at my first year of college, like writing at least one song every day because there was just so much happening to me and so much like new stimuli that was like making me think. Um,
Right.
and now it's like all the songs that I'm writing are super like introspective and like very about internal rather than external. So it's just like a very different type of writing. But I totally feel you. It's like a lot slower moving, I feel like.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
That's interesting.
yeah, I feel that. I feel like it was hard to get myself to write, and then the minute I got to college and it was like moved in, it's like now I don't have any time to write, but I want to.
Ah.
Where
yeah.
are you? Where'd you move
I'm
in?
I'm um I'm at UC Berkeley. I'm at the Clark Kerr campus. Um
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
I saw are you at, did you transfer to Berkeley, or are you still at Cal Poly too?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm a freshman, so I just started.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Are you? You're a freshman too, right? Are you going to
Yeah, yeah, I
Stanford?
just had orientation for Stanford this week. Yeah.
From arrivals now? Cool.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know there's a few people on campus, but most of it's all online.
Yeah.
That's a remarkable way to start college.
I know. It's
Definitely.
crazy. You know, yeah, it is sad. The whole freshman experience is so iconic. Um, but also a lot of people are going through harder times, just trying to stay positive about it, but it is tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird because I'm like kind of a little young for my grade, so like I could be a freshman right now. So I'm
Oh,
like, I'm low key, I'm like, oh man. I'm kind of glad that I'm not. I feel bad for you guys.
Yeah, it's definitely weird, but hanging in there. I'm just excited to like be on a Zoom that's not about the class already, and it's good.
What are you majoring in, Chloe?
I'm planning on majoring in business, and then maybe a minor in data science. It's definitely everyone always thinks I'm going to Berklee College of Music. No, the other one.
Yeah,
yeah,
same.
yeah. I feel that. I feel like everyone when they say Berkeley, and you're a musician, you're like, oh, in Boston?
No, yeah.
So funny.
Hey, Sierra.
Hi,
How are you, love? It's good to see you again.
you too. I'm okay. I was just in a not a one-on-one, a screening with Jane.
Ah.
Awesome.
Are you decompressing? That can be intense.
No, it was really good. I got
Oh,
really
that's
good
great.
feedback.
Sweet.
Well, I guess we can get on started. Oh, hey, Pete. Ian's on here too. Good to see everybody. All right. Well, welcome to Debunking the Top 10 Myths of Becoming a Songwriter Performer. Um, I'm Anthony Arya. I'm a singer, guitarist, and songwriter from Santa Cruz. I joined West Coast about 3 years ago, and that was really the start of all of it. I was just starting to write music and perform, and West Coast was a big part of that. Uh, doing the songwriter local chapter competitions and the first conference, um, and just meeting that whole community of songwriters. In 2018, I ended up being on season 15 of The Voice, and coming back, I put out my first album going to California. And since then, I've just been playing around the Bay Area a lot, and put out my second album, The Road, this last May. But I've still stayed connected through West Coast through the last few years, coming back to the conference, and collaborating with a lot of the artists I've met. I met my producer through West Coast. So yeah, happy to be talking with everybody this year. I think if we can just go to the other panelists and give a little introduction, that'd be great.
Sure. Okay, hi, I'm Emma Gerson. I'm 18. Oh, hi. Okay, Casey, you can go. I'll come right back.
Hi, I'm Casey. I, I didn't.
Okay, I'm back now. Sorry. Zoom interruptions, it happens. Okay, so hi, I'm Emma Gerson. I've been a part of West Coast Songwriters since I was like 10 years old, so I think it's been like 8 years now. I wrote my first song, and I really clearly remember performing it. I remember like there was like something was televised. West Coast was doing something televised with an audience, and I sang. That was one of the first times I like sang in public. So West Coast has been a huge part of my development as an artist. But yeah, I've been involved in like a bunch of, have won national awards for my songwriting, American Songwriting Awards, and the Young Arts Foundation. And now I'm currently working on an EP. and trying to get some of my stuff out there. But I've released a couple of singles. So yeah, okay. Whoever's next can go.
I can go. So hi everyone, my name's Chloe and I'm 18 as well. So I was in a choir for around 10 years, and then when I left that, I started writing my own music, and this was like in high school, when I also joined West Coast Songwriters, and I did the monthly competitions there. I did a Crombie Cabins event that was super fun, and then last winter I went through the motions of writing, recording, and producing an EP, and so that was completely independent. It was just like me and my mom, my momager. So if you have any questions on like going through CD Baby or ASCAP, and struggling to know what to do, I still have those questions. But I did some songwriting courses at NYU and in Berkeley College of Music. That really helped, but West Coast Songwriters was an amazing resource for me, and so I'm so glad to see a bunch of young people here.
And yeah, Rachel, do you want to just?
Yeah, absolutely. So wonderful to hear all these bios. So I am not a young adult per se. The reason I'm here is because I'm starting a young adult program for West Coast Songwriters. So we're starting up next week with a workshop, a 5-week workshop on Tuesday afternoons. Going over, I'll tell you guys what we're going to do. We're going to be going over lyric writing, melody writing, prosody, that's the connection between words and melody, and some chord progression stuff, and then form stuff. A lot of song workshopping. Anyway, but my backstory is I started writing when I was in college, actually. I was on the East Coast, and I moved out to California, and I've released a few albums, toured both coasts when that was a thing. Currently, I am doing a lot of co-writing for the first time, which is a thrill. It's just taught me so much that I didn't realize I didn't know. And I'm releasing some music actually this coming week, and next month I'm releasing an album called Human as I Came. That's the gist of me. Thanks for having me here.
Congrats on the new album. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, I guess we'll just jump right in to myth number one. Myth number one is it doesn't matter if you play an instrument. Now, for me, it's really made a difference. I play guitar, and I don't think I would be writing songs if I didn't play guitar, because I was playing a lot of jazz throughout high school and late middle school, and that really opened the door for a lot of melodic and improvisational aspects of music for me, and also harmonic possibilities in jazz is just so deep that I think it really made me more of a creative writer and coming up with ideas that spurred melodies. So I think guitar's always been really important for me in writing music. I started with piano though, and I wish I kept with it, because the more instruments the better, I think, with writing music, because it just creates more ideas harmonically and melodically. Yeah, I'll toss it over the panel. What do you guys, I guess, what instruments do you guys play, and how have they influenced your songs?
Yeah, I mean, I also started on piano. I play piano, acoustic guitar, and bass guitar. So for me, what I've really found is that the instrument that you're writing with can actually really change how you sound. So a lot of, like, on a piano, I might be more inclined to write something that's smooth and slow and like a ballad, whereas on guitar I might write something that's a little bit more folksy or upbeat. That's just because of like my ear and what I grew up listening to. So really, and also on bass, you might end up with something a little bit more funky or whatever. So I really think that having a bass, like an instrument that you're really good at, that you can like really perfect, is super important. But also being able to pick up another instrument, and you don't even have to be the best at that instrument, but just knowing how to play that instrument on a basic level can really be a really good well for like inspiration and changing how you're trying to write. If you find yourself in a space where you're like, every song I write sounds the same, which is a normal thing to go through, try picking up another instrument. Like ukulele is super easy to learn, and you might find yourself writing something totally new and different. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I play guitar too, and I second what you guys say. I also think that, there's an endless amount of songs that are the same four chords, and they're all hits. And so I think that if you don't like, I don't consider myself an expert on the guitar, but I think that if you guys can just pick up a few things on different instruments, like Emma was saying, then you can spark a hit song just from 3 chords or 4 chords that have been used before for so many other songs. So I think it definitely helps, but with also the producing software online, you can just know how to use a keyboard, not an actual piano keyboard, but like the buttons on your computer, and you can start a beat and start a song. So, but that's confusing too. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I can speak to this for a sec. For me, my main instrument is piano, and my entry point into songwriting was piano. And it's still really the foundation for all my creative moves. So for me, it was crucial, and it was everything, and it was where I launched from. I think it can be hugely beneficial, and I totally recommend it. I love what Emma said about a second instrument too, because yeah, a second instrument can just break it open. If you know piano is your first instrument, great. If you can throw in a second one, great. But all that said, I've worked with songwriters who come to the table without it. I've worked with songwriters who come to the table never even having written a melody. They're just word people. I've worked with songwriters who are singers, but they've never touched an instrument or written their own melodies. And it's all cool. Like whatever your strength is, be cool with it and launch from there and build from there. But just don't let not knowing something be a barrier to writing a song, because it's the writing of the song that's going to teach you how to write the song, no matter what you know.
Totally. Yeah, it makes me think. I got a book. It's called Into the. It's I think it's called Lit Up Inside, and it's Van Morrison's collection of all his poetry, and he wrote all of his songs in poetry form, and then kind of converted them into songs later. But yeah, it's totally true. You don't need an instrument to write a song. Some of the greatest songs are in that book, Brown Eyed Girl, Into the Mystic. But I think, yeah, for me, and the more instruments really just create more creativity and ideas for songs. So it's definitely helpful. All right, well, myth number 2, you should only write songs about things that really happened to you. Now, I've written songs about historical events, things that I read or saw, or even like witnessed but didn't actually experience. I think I've written songs about what happened maybe in the future or things I've dreamed about. One of my idols, John Prine, I've always admired the way that he's able to really go into the conscious of his characters and people that he writes songs about. Angel from Montgomery is the story of a woman, completely different than John Prine's life, but he really is able to tell the story of this person and what they're thinking. And so yeah, I think you don't need to write songs about what happened to you, and those songs, I mean, obviously yourself, so they can be very amazing tunes because you can really express your consciousness. But it's also I've written a lot of songs just about things that I've read or watched or seen from an outside perspective. If anyone else wants to touch on that too.
Yeah, Chloe, do you want to go first, or I can go?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I was in a workshop with Steve Suskin. I think he's part of the West Coast Songwriters. Yeah, he's in the Bay. He played a song for us where he just wrote um, from the first person of a news article about someone who was like on a plane ride. I don't even remember what it was, but I just remember that it like brought us to tears, and it was just like a news story on the front page of like any newspaper you pick up. And so I think that was like a really good exercise that I started to pick up, where just like writing, like looking through the news and finding a headline that draws you in, and then writing to it. I mean, a lot of bad songs have come out of that I've written, but it's just like it's hard to get your mind working, and that's one exercise that I've used.
Yeah, and I think also like songs in general are just like stories. I mean, like the way that music really like evolved was like in order to carry news from place to place, because like before they had newspapers and things like that, someone would go into the square and sing the news, because that's how you remember things, because like singing allows you to remember it a lot easier, you know, with rhyme and melody and all of that. So songs are just like in their truest form are just messages and stories. So that doesn't mean that it only has to apply to you. And I think like most songs, the best songs are universal and apply to everyone. So whatever you're going to be writing about will probably feel personal regardless. But, you know, I've written like murder ballads and I've never killed anybody. I've written, one time my friend went through this like horrible breakup. And so I wrote about, and he was like, I really don't know like what she's thinking. I don't know how she feels. And so I was like, oh, that makes me curious. And I wrote what I thought she was feeling. So you can, and that turned out to be like one of my favorite songs that I've ever written. So, you know, you can look at your friends' lives. You can look at the lives of people that you find interesting. And also like, even sometimes when I'm reading poetry or like reading, I read a lot of like autobiographies because I'm really into history. Even just a line or something that someone says, you can ask yourself like, how did they get to that thought? How did they get from point A to point B? And try to write a song that applies to that. I don't know if that makes sense, but other people is like a really great way to think of songs that are personal but also universal at the same time. So yeah.
Cool. I'll hop on here. Oh, it's so cool to hear these songs you guys have written that aren't about you. It sounds super creative and cool. I've definitely done that myself. I had to do it when I was asked to write music for a piece of musical theater. Like, I'm obviously not the characters in the piece of musical theater. And like on my new album, 2 of the songs are like a retelling of the Greek myth of Demeter and Persephone. I've got one song from the mom singing to her daughter and one song from the daughter singing to her mom. I'm obviously not both of those people. I'm actually neither of them. So yeah, I think it's cool. Like, break it open. One of the assignments I like to give the songwriters I coach is to specifically pick a historical figure or a fictional character of any kind and write a song from their perspective. What I'll say though is you got to find a kernel of truth in it. You got to find your truth in it. It's like, yeah, you don't necessarily have to have lived the experience, but you have to find the emotional something of truth in you and write from that. But the same is true for when you're writing songs about experiences you have had. And sometimes what's super cool is that actually writing a song about an experience you haven't had, because you have to very obviously bridge the gap between you and this fiction, you have to really kind of excavate for that kernel of truth. It can actually teach you how to do it when you are writing about things you did experience. Sometimes if we're writing about something that we've experienced, we kind of just assume we know what's true about it to us. We can take it for granted, and we actually never locate that kind of urgent truth. So yeah, so sometimes I assign it actually to help people write songs about their own experiences, just to kind of sketch out that trajectory. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. Yeah. I one of the songs on my new album, one of my favorites that ended up It was a historical tune about these two Italian immigrants, Sacco and Vanzetti. They were wrongfully accused of murder, and I just thought their story was fascinating, and ending up writing a song about Judge Taylor, who wouldn't listen to anything that they had to say during the trial. So yeah, I agree with everyone that was talking about that. We'll move on to the myth number 3, and that's you really need to take singing lessons. For me, and also I remember Chloe mentioned this too, that I in school did a lot of the choirs, and that really was my first instruction vocally, and that really helped. I didn't even take lessons till after the voice, and I have taken a few. I've continued to do that after, but choirs was really where I learned how to sing. I did all the honor choir programs, and there was a lot of great opportunities to learn how to harmonize with other vocalists. Choir really helped me, and also on the more technical side of music, I think learning theory can be really helpful as well. I've taken a lot of music theory classes, and it really opens the door to more harmonic possibilities, knowing some more theory. So yeah, I recommend that. I definitely singing lessons is can be really helpful, but it isn't necessarily the end all be all for writing songs and continuing to develop your artistry.
Yeah, I'm biased because my mom is a voice coach, so I always grew up around that. Practicing every day, your vocal exercises and things like that. But I think it really depends on the type of songwriter that you are, whether or not you have to take voice lessons, because there are a lot of amazing songwriters who sing and play, but their voices are just like not that great, but it's fine because they're brilliant. And so you get used to their voice and you like it. It's like part of the charm. But if you're like trying to write songs where you're going to actually need, vocal strength and breath control and these things, you can find a lot of stuff on YouTube. I don't think in like today you really need to spend all your money on voice lessons. While it can be very helpful in a lot of ways, if you're struggling with something, there's a lot of resources. I think it really just depends on the type of songwriter you are. For me, a lot of my songs, I'm trying to use my voice in ways that are creative and different. And so, I think if I didn't have my voice training, I wouldn't be writing the same songs that I'm writing. But I wouldn't say that it's necessary 100% to do that. But yeah.
I kind of wanted to touch on like the theory classes. I know it's not singing lessons, but I didn't know theory even though I was in a choir for a long time. And I'm actually taking it now. I'm taking like the most intro music class you can take at college, just so I have a good foundation. But I think that like that is something that's super important once you start like trying to play live and play with bands, just because, especially if being a young person and trying to play with like older people who are experienced and know what they're doing and talking about, that like things like charting your songs and just like speaking the language, just trying to like transpose a song live can be really difficult. And as a young person, you just might seem a little like, I always seem like I don't know what I'm talking about, even though like this is my song that I wrote from nothing. So I think that's definitely something that I need to work on. It's just theory would be really important, but that's not really voice lessons. Anyway, Rachel, do you have anything to say on that?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, I guess it's kind of what I already said. Like anything you've got is great and use it. Do you need to take voice lessons to write songs? I feel like clearly not, right? No. But cool if you can sing, and if you want to be a singing songwriter and you're not a natural singer, yeah, it can totally help. That was who I was. Like, I wanted to be a singing songwriter, but I couldn't sing at all. So it's helped. It didn't stop me at first. I still performed and sang before I could sing. What's cool more recently is that people get to really hear the songs I've written because I can finally sing them. But I'll also jump on the theory bandwagon. Theory's been huge for me. I studied classical theory, I studied jazz theory. I kind of came up with my own kind of understanding of what songwriting theory is by analyzing the songs I most loved. And all of that has been crucial for me. Not that I write by rules. I don't. I write intuitively. It's almost like my work takes place in two different rooms. I go to a room where I study and I'm analytical and I learn new tricks. I learn how chords work. And then I close the door to that room. I lock it, I deadbolt it. I'm like, no, you stay in there. And then I protect myself from it, go into this other room, and I'm just creative there and I'm free. And I don't think about rules or theory or what I know or don't know. But what I've noticed is that the work I do in the analytical room, it gets internalized enough so that in those moments of creative freedom, I have more that I hear, more is available to me. So yeah, take voice lessons, learn theory, but write songs no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely have noticed that, you learn theory to forget theory. You learn it and it becomes part of your music. And then when, like you're saying, when you enter that creative space, it kind of goes out the window. You don't want to think too much about theory when you're trying to create music. Yeah, totally. Myth number 4, it's important to find a genre and stick to it. For me, I kind of cross from rock to jazz to blues to folk to everything kind of in between, and I love listening to different kinds of music and playing different and ultimately writing different styles and genres and whatever you want to call it. It's hard because I feel like with music, and especially with streaming services where everything's very genre specific, it's tough to kind of get out of that mold. But I think you should write any kind. Don't put yourself in a barrier of one genre of music. Although it can be tough, if you're trying to do a set that is everything works together, and sometimes not all your originals may fit in a set, but I think that's totally okay. It doesn't have to all be completely cohesive, because ultimately I think it's best to write as many different kinds of music and styles as possible.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's like a big difference between writing as an artist, in your little creative bubble, and then trying to find management or something else where you have to fit into a genre in order to kind of otherwise how are they going to represent you? You know what I'm saying? So I think you should write whatever you feel and whatever you want. There should be no limits to what you write. But if you find a stream that you feel you relate to most, whether it's country, R&B, whatever, if something that you're looking for is to have a career in music, it kind of depends what genre you're in. If you're doing folk, you have a lot more space to explore different genres within that. But if you're going for pop or something like that, then you have to kind of stick with that until you're famous, and then you can put out whatever you want. So I would say write everything, write whatever you want, write whatever your heart wants. But if you're trying to have a career, it might be beneficial to have at least 5 or 10 songs that are within one genre that you can kind of represent yourself as that kind of artist, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like I want everyone to write in so many different genres, and I write in so many different genres, but I've just had so many people that are when we are young adults looking for management and looking for the right person to manage us, because there's so many people that are wrong for it. they're constantly asking, like, who's your audience? Like, what's your brand? And I'm like, I don't know. I just have my family that listens to my music. Like, I don't know. But I think when you're writing, you do want to maybe have that in the back of your mind. Like, write whatever you want, but think like, ooh, this song is for my audience, and this song is for me, sort of thing. That's just what I think. Yeah.
I can speak to this a little. For the whole first part of my songwriting history, I just was left to my own devices. I was just writing for myself. What comes out of me is a pretty specific sound. I don't even know what genre I would say it is, but it's Rachel songs. But then in the past 6 months, like I said, I've been co-writing for the first time. So I'm writing with someone, and we're writing for specific bands now. And so in the past 6 months, he's asked me to write an anthem rock tune. He's asked me to write an R&B song. He's asked me to write a gospel song. Asked me to write like a torch love song. Asked me to write a Latin song. And I've just been having the time of my life. As every time he asks me to do something, I feel like, oh, I can't do that. And then it's cool to try it and do it. He asked me to, oh my God, he asked me to emulate a Doja Cat song, and I fell into a mild depression. I was like, I have no business here.
Oh man, I know Doja Cat. Yeah,
no one has invited me to, like, Doja Cat's got Doja Cat covered. But I worked it out. I dealt with myself. I got some psychological support, and I gave it a go, and I learned from it. So, yeah. And now for the first time, I'm writing Rachel songs again, and it has informed it. And I feel like a stronger songwriter for having gone all over. So I guess what I want to say, it's so cool to hear all y'all be saying, yeah, I don't know what genre I am. I don't think about genre. I think artists don't. I think we create, right? We get inspired. We hear a sound, we create.
Right.
It's this whole genre obsession, right? It comes into play more when we're having to promote and market and put ourselves in the boxes that will make us understandable to the world. So genre is crucial, right? But yeah, I don't know that helps. But I think it's cool that as artists, we kind of protect ourselves from that conversation a bit and allow ourselves to create.
Yeah. I know. As far as fan base, I think, at least from my fans, I think they have, like, some of the songs when I finish them, I'm like, oh man, this is kind of a different feel and style and whatever you want to call it. I wonder what they'll think of it, and oftentimes they really dig it. And it's especially when if you're, because we're talking about songwriter performers, and so if you're performing your own music, there's always going to be your style, because it's your voice. That always comes through whatever genre or style of music you're writing. So for fan bases, I think when they're really fans of your artistry, I think it doesn't really matter to worry necessarily about sticking to one style. All right, well, myth number 5, it's more on the performance side of things, is when performing, if you make a mistake, apologize and start over. And for me, like, okay, if your guitar is out of tune or you're having technical issues, I think that's a different story. But I always, like, just keep on trucking. My motto. You got to keep this song going. People are there because they want to enjoy the music. And I've seen a lot of times where songwriters do start over if they want to get the songs perfect, and I understand that. But I think for me, the audience really just wants to enjoy the music and wants to hear you, and they're not necessarily going to know all the lyrics. So just keep on trucking. And it's not a big myth, or topic, but definitely for if you're performing, I think it's just best to, when you're playing your songs, even though you want to get them right, just keep on deliver a performance.
Yeah, I mean, live performance is so funny because literally anything could happen. And I agree. I definitely think, like, if you mess up your lyrics or whatever it is, something that you can just kind of like pass by and be like, oh, I pressed one wrong key on the piano, whatever. Like, don't bash yourself for it if you sing a wrong note. Like, every note that you sing is beautiful. Even if it's not the right note, it's still beautiful. But you know, it also is like, you want to show integrity to your music. You know, like Aretha Franklin stopped the whole last orchestra one time because she didn't like the way they started. So, you know, it just, in the moment, whatever feels right. And also, like, that's part of performing, is also about connecting to people. So if you feel like you're able to connect with your audience, even though you might have messed up a couple times, then you're good. But if it's to the point where it's distracting you and you're not even like in the moment, and you can't even connect with people because you're focusing on the issue, then go right ahead and start over, you know? I think it's just like, whatever you are feeling in that moment, will be the right thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. Just, you know, if it's technical, fix it. If it's you, then just keep, like, just get past it.
Yeah. I actually love what everybody's saying. Like, yeah, Anthony, keep trucking, 100%, right? And and I like what I was saying about like do what feels right. At first I thought I was gonna say like, yeah, no, don't apologize to the audience. That's kind of awkward. Like, I think the audience wants to feel safe in your hands, right? And that
Right.
safety doesn't come from you being flawless. That safety comes from you kind of being intact, kind of you feeling like you've got this. And if you're up there apologizing, that almost might create a bad kind of relationship between you and the audience where suddenly they feel insecure. And then I was remembering, did anybody see Patti Smith
Yes.
perform?
The times are changing at the
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So she was performing a song. Bob Dylan was getting the prize, the what was it? The Nobel
I
Prize?
think that one, it wasn't the Nobel
No,
Prize in Literature, but I think it was or maybe it was the performance for that.
Yeah, it was that maybe.
Yeah.
And so she was performing which song was it, Anthony?
No, I think it was the times they are changing.
Okay, so she just kept forgetting the words. And
Yeah.
okay, and at first she took Anthony's advice and she just kept trucking. And then at a certain point she took Emma's advice and she was true to herself and
Right.
she said, I'm I'm sorry, I'm just so nervous. And it was like the sweetest thing I've ever seen. Like that was the part that made me cry because it was just so honest and beautiful. So I like amended my own thinking on this in the last minute and I just think be you. That's what they want.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I remember because that was, I mean, it's such a classic Dylan tune, and she knew Dylan well. She's like, I can't let Dylan down like this. So yeah,
Totally.
I feel you in that. Yeah. Um, cool. Yeah, I liked what everyone was saying with that. Myth number 6, playing in a band isn't necessary for songwriters. And I don't feel that it's absolutely necessary at all. But for me, I found that it definitely is helpful. Or just beneficial for my songwriting. I've played in a lot of different ensembles, my bands, jazz groups. I mentioned the choirs, but all different kinds of groups of people. And I do perform my songs solo often, but in terms of like dynamics and energy, when I play with my band, it brings a whole nother level of my songs, and it often evolves a lot from when I finish writing a tune on my guitar, just singing acoustic, and over the course of I like to play a song for about a year before I even start to record it, because it evolves a lot. I think a lot because of playing with a band. It just naturally changes the feel and dynamics of a song, and really just gives a new perspective of how a song can evolve. So for me, it's been really helpful. I don't think it's absolutely necessary, though, to be a songwriter performer.
And I think there's a lot to be learned too in the band experience, because if you're working with like good musicians who you trust, who you can communicate with effectively, that's the best thing. I think it can be frustrating if you're in a band and there's someone who's not doing their part and stuff like that. So I think like what your band is very important. And sometimes it can be kind of rare to have a band that like feels perfect. Um, And I think for me creatively, I'm a little bit more inclined to be introverted. So I like to spend a lot of time developing my own songs before I even show it to anybody else. But I totally agree with what Anthony was saying. Like bands can totally turn your song into something that you didn't even think it could be. So it's definitely like a very gratifying experience. And performing live with a band, like nothing feels as good as that. That's like the best feeling in the world. So definitely if you can get something together that works, good.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary, but I think that it's so fun. Your music feels real. And I mean, I guess this is where like theory comes in, or charting, or that's how you get your music to the band, which is important. But I also think just like it doesn't have to be a band. It can just be one other person and harmonizing and one other instrument, and just playing with other people. I guess not right now, since I mean we're not really performing at all right now. But just working with other people is can be really helpful in your songs. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Songwriting it's some alone time. Like even if you're co-writing, like, you can't really create. Well, I don't know if I can say that. There's a certain kind of relationship to your muse that it's not about any other humans. It's about you and your muse, right? So there's a little bit of a private quality, even if you're co-writing. And for most songwriters, I think we actually have to spend quite a lot of time kind of communing with our muse, kind of alone time. So it's super cool to counterbalance that with connecting in any way. And a band is a great way to do that. It's like a mirror. You just, oh, that's what I wrote, and you learn so much about what you wrote. And you just learn like crazy in a way that you can't really manufacture alone. So if it's a band or if it's a producer or just any kind of feedback you can get is great. But yeah, having a band is
Mm-hmm.
great fun.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we have four more, so if we, kind of go through a little faster through these last few, so we can get through them all. But the next one, myth number 7, is TV shows and songwriting competitions are a waste of time. And for me, I'm obviously a little biased, but I think the experience can be really helpful, beneficial for your music, not only for like your career, but just musically. You meet a lot of people, a lot of other artists on competitions and TV shows. I grew up watching The Voice too, and that introduced me to a lot of different kinds of music because they're playing a lot of different styles. I mean, all kinds of artists there. And it taught me a lot about the industry as well. Showbiz is a whole different world, and it's good to be conscious and know about that. And also playing with, kind of related to the last one, playing with a band. Oftentimes there's these big productions with a big band on these TV shows, and that can be really helpful too for your music. But really any competition, I think it can be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, every time I've done something that's been televised, I've learned something, even if it like was not what I wanted it to be. I've had friends who have done, I had a couple friends who've been on The Voice and other shows like that, and there have been mixed reviews. I've had friends say it was amazing. I've had friends say, oh, that was horrible. But I think regardless of whatever experience that you have, you learn something. So take from that what you will. I don't think that there's ever anything negative that comes from putting yourself out there, though.
Yeah, I think that I've had a different experience. Like I've been, like Voice and American Idol have reached out to me, and I've gone to their auditions and stuff, and gone through the rounds, but I've never been able to fully commit. And I just think it's because I don't see myself doing that, even though I would tell everyone else to do it. But I do think, it's good because it forces you to work on your brand, and, everything from what you're wearing to what you say, and not just what you're singing is super important, and they're judging you off everything. So it's like a crash course on branding just for a few days. But I mean, I would say try it if the opportunity comes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to defer to the room and especially Anthony on this one. I'll just say that I had one friend who auditioned for The Voice and had a really bad experience, and then she wrote her best song about it. So even that worked out.
That sounds about right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely it can be a lot of work or just a pain. There tends to be a lack of artistry or creativity in that, and when you're in that showbiz world. But I like what Emma was saying about how you learn something regardless, and it's never bad to put yourself out there. Because yeah, you can learn a lot from doing it. But it definitely can be tough as well. Just a tough experience in general. Okay, well, myth number 8. We kind of touched a little bit on this, but it's when a good lyric or melody comes to your head, wait until you have at least a verse before you write it down and record it. And we were talking about how if you see a word or something, a phrase that you like, jot it down. And it's like the worst feeling when you lose an idea because you forgot to record it or write it down. It's because you can't remember it. It's so bad. So yeah, I have so many voice memos and notes, just words, phrases, melodies, that you hum, or just ideas on the guitar or like whatever instrument that you play. Just put it out there put it down before it slips your mind. And some songs I finish right away, and some songs you kind of put on the back burner, you come back to naturally later. It could be a year later, but you always have that stash of ideas that you can come back to and take a look at. I think generally this is pretty agreed on to put it down, but I guess it's good to be consciously remember just any idea you have, put it down there immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I have ADHD, so I'll get like a bajillion ideas at one time and I need to put it down right there. So I'll be like crazy lady in the grocery store singing to my phone. Like, any idea that you get, you need to like take it down as soon as you can. And also for young people, it's very important, literally write every day, free write, because something about the way that your brain develops at this age, you're going to have like some of the best creative ideas. And like a lot of songwriters have talked about this where like, Bob Dylan's writing songs right now, but like he's even admitted that like the brain just changes, your creativity changes. And so these are like prime years. So everything that you write, even if you don't end up writing a song about it, you can go back to your journal when you're like 40, you can be like, oh, what did I write in my journal when I was 18? And like find gold. So I think it's really important to literally write down everything, because everything that you're writing now especially is really important.
I second all of that. Yeah, just to make it quick, I second all that.
This myth is madness. We're not mad geniuses who remember whole swaths of music. I don't know about you guys, but I don't. I guess Fiona Apple does, or so she says. I was thinking, based on what Anthony said, I was thinking about that Jack Black song. He wrote a song, right? And he forgot the song. And it is such a terrible feeling.
Oh.
So he wrote this other song, and it is just like, it was the best song in the world.
That's funny.
It's like a certain heartbreak of forgetting your own work. So yeah, document it. But more than that, think out loud, think on the page.
Uh-huh.
It makes it less cerebral and more acrobatic.
Definitely. Myth number 9, there's no need to over promote yourself. If you're good, they'll find you. And I definitely think that's not true. You gotta, like before with the showbiz thing, putting yourself out there helps, and you really have to work on getting out there and getting a fan base. And people aren't just gonna come, a flock of fans aren't just gonna arrive on your social media door or whatever. So any types of promotion is good. Some of the things that I made note of that I've done before: song contests, busking on the street. When I don't do that as much anymore, I'd say, but I still do it from time to time. I did it a lot when I was first starting to perform, and that helped a lot. Especially for it's just a good experience learning how to be a performer. You have to get the attention of people just walking by. TV placement on like there's a organization called Taxi Music Services, and they play songs on different television shows, and that's a good thing to try out. Open mics and showcases, and radio stations. Local radio KPIG plays my songs a lot, and it's really great to try to create relationships with local radio stations. You can start local, and then try to search for these online radio stations that are looking for new music, for independent music. I think that's all good to put yourself out there.
Yeah, for every like 100 things you put out, you might get one yes. So I mean, you have to work hard. The thing is that now though, like there's no live performance, so there's not as much opportunity to like get fans from playing gigs and stuff like that. But yeah, Instagram, make your friends promote your stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I would just use like quarantine to make a YouTube site, and do Instagram, TikTok, whatever you're on, and then and just put as much out there and take every opportunity, because it always leads to meeting someone else that will help you, or or just like meeting people that will write with you. All of that. You never know who's filming you. You never know who's gonna see you, who has a brother, who's a producer. You never know.
I think a lot of artists have a tough relationship with promotion. It kind of feels icky to us in a way. So I guess all I'll add is it's cool if you can find some kind of healthy relationship with it, some way of doing it that feels true to you, feels true to your nature, and that even feels fun. Like practice where you can find the fun in it, because you want to be okay. You want to be okay, you want to be able to keep doing this thing you love, which is making music, and sharing it and promoting it is going to be kind of a always aspect of it.
Yeah. Okay, last myth. Myth number 10: songwriters should only perform their own music. For me, I think performing covers has always helped my songwriting. I feel strongly about it because listening and playing other artists' music really gets you in a different world. You kind of get stuck in this bubble of your own head and writing music in your own way, that you kind of forget that there's so many different ways to write a song, and it's nice to be able to not just like listen to it, but I think playing it, you get a deeper understanding of that. And also, it might not just be like one song from another artist, but if you know that kind of a catalog of another artist's material, it can be helpful in understanding their whole like repertoire of original music, and performing it live. I think it's always cool. Yeah, I think fans like to hear classics and how they or modern tunes and how they relate with your own music, and how you perform them. And I think it creates a great full set of music when people see you live as well.
Absolutely. And also, when you perform a cover, that doesn't mean that you don't have to be creative. Like you can sing a song, like a 50-year-old song in a way that nobody's ever sang it before. You can get creative with it. Make like I love it when like artists take rap songs and like turn them into like flowy, like chill songs. So there's like a lot of different ways that you can cover a song. It doesn't have to be sung the exact way that the original did it.
Yeah, especially just like busking, and on YouTube, you want to like grab people's attention with songs that they love, and then once you have them, they'll listen to your music. And so I think that's important to play other things.
Yeah, if you have fun playing other people's songs, it's a beautiful thing to add to a set. I don't think it's kind of like you must do it or you must not do it. I think the thing that we must do as songwriters is study other songs. Like we must study the songs we love. It's not enough to just listen like a listener. It's not enough to just listen and dance or just listen and lie on the ground. Like still do that, but then also listen again and figure out what's going on melodically there. What's turning my head in that chord change. If playing the song helps you learn from it, all the better.
Totally. Well, sweet. This has been, we're running up on a little over 2, so I want to let you guys go, but this has been a ton of fun. Hope this was helpful to everybody. Thanks for all the panelists for hanging out today and chatting about this. Hey, Michael, good to see you. Yeah, I think Rachel and Emma, you guys are doing something coming up right now, right? Songwriting 101. So you guys
We're doing Songwriting 101. Come
go
join
check
us.
check it out. It's coming up right now. So yeah, I'll let you guys go. But this has been a ton of, stay in touch. I'm at anthonyarya.com, and maybe if everyone wants to put their socials in the chat real quick, we can link up and then head out. But yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out.
Thank you, Anthony. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Good to see faces during all this COVID times.
DM me if any of you guys want to write.
Yeah. Definitely. All right. Are you guys starting songwriting? Is it at 2 o'clock? Or is it?
2:15.
Oh, cool. Okay, there's a little time then. Yeah, I'll leave it up then if people want to get on. But feel free to come and go as you please. All right. Take it easy, guys. Peace. I hope so many good songs come from this.
Hi, Ian. Is Ian there?
See you, Chloe.
Bye.
See ya. Thanks for hanging out today. Ian, if you're there, good to see you, Ian. Oh, Ian, you're there?
There?
Yeah, I muted myself.
Oh, I can hear you now. Ian, it's good to hear your voice.
It was good to hear you last night too, so.
What'd you say? Sorry, it's a little low.
Oh, I'm a bit low. That's the normal with me. So I'm just saying I enjoyed your performance last night.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was a fun little kickoff. Music City, I did it a few months ago. They're cool. They're a cool organization, so that was fun.
Yeah. So
I don't,
an interesting start, and I thought that the audio sounded pretty good for everybody.
yeah, I did too. Yeah, that was. It's always tough to get the studio set up at home. I was just thinking back about a couple years ago when I went up to the house, your studio up there. It was so fun. And Chloe was mentioning the Crombie Cabin. Is that right? Yeah. And I was just thinking about all the good times up at the studio up there. You know, I miss you guys.
No house conference is the bad part. I think my Chloe was there when my granddaughters were over from the UK.
Yeah.
So it was pretty nice having that show for them. I wanted it to be all girls show. That's why I didn't invite you.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. No worries. Well, I do have the hair though. I mean, that's why I grew it out. Ian. Come on.
We did this girl power thing, and the great thing was for them to see how Chloe and I'm trying to who Avery, how Chloe and Avery were.
Avery Chapman, yeah.
It was great for them because they didn't really think so much about the actual conversation between songs.
Right.
They hadn't even thought about it. So it's like they would play it shows they do, but not really thought. So interesting for them to hear the conversations and how somebody shared something about themselves during between the songs.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Oh man. Well, I miss you. What have you guys been up to lately?
We've been in lockdown.
Yeah.
No, we're in a bubble. The cool thing is that we're in a bubble. Our daughter and grandchild are in a bubble at Half Moon Bay, so we get our bubbles together. We'll go over, hang out, get together. I've been spending a bit more time in my studio, so which I need to do anyway.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting to watch these. I thought the panel thing was great. Some really great information for everybody. the one you just did. So,
Oh, the myth. Oh, awesome, cool. Yeah, I know. I was trying to think about what could be like informative for people, and
Yeah.
the thing is they're recording it, so we'll be able to take little cuts out of things. So,
oh, awesome.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see it now. Recording. Oh, sweet. Cool. Well, hopefully we can all get together sometime soon and play some music or just hang out. I mean, it's been I don't know, it may be outside or something, but with the smoke, you can't even go outside anymore. I mean, gee, you just
Enjoy the rest of the show, you guys.
all right. Good to see you, Ian. Chloe, let's play some music sometime, Chloe.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
DM me if you ever want to write. I'm so down.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Sounds great.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Cool. All right. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.